Welcome to Indian Masterminds. Now, if I come to railway track, there have been so many casualties of elephants and baby elephants on the railway tracks. So, what have you done to avoid those calamities?
So again, as you rightly said, that there are several incidences where elephants, especially, they are being killed on the railway track. Rajaji, this was a problem, a major problem. But I would say this is again another success story, which I would say that Rajaji stands out in this, because what happened is when it was realized that there are so many animals which are dying on the railway track, joint collaborative work with railways was undertaken. So there were few restrictions which are posed. The National Board of Wildlife posed a speed limit. First of all, that a train which is crossing or which is passing through Rajaji cannot run more than 40 kilometers per hour during daytime and more than 35 kilometers per hour during night. Okay, so this restriction was posed first of all. Second, what we did was along with railways, that we deputed in the entire stretch our teams, joint teams from railways and forest department, which still monitor these patches of railway track which is crossing Rajaji at before every train comes. So they literally move in these directions and they see these movement of animals. And if there is any animal movement which is being recorded, so there is a communication channel which has been established with the railways. So one of our person, he sits at two stations which are there inside Kansro and Motichur with a forest wireless. So whenever our teams which are going in the field along the track, if they spot that there is a movement or a likely movement of elephants, they immediately alert the person who is sitting at the railway station. And when the person sitting at the railway station, the forestry person, he gets this message, he immediately relays it to the person of railways. And then through their channel, it is being relayed to the loco pilot who is driving the train. And immediately either the train is slowed down or it is stopped, depending on how far the animals are. To monitor this, we have again constructed watchtowers through entire the stretch of railways track which is passing. So this I would say this mechanism is working very nicely in this area. Now we are also employing the latest technologies also into that. For example, we are testing some kind of seismic sensors which will be away from railway track, so that if there is any movement of animals, because elephants are heavy animals, so whenever they move, there are seismic signatures which are being generated. So we are automating it so that if there is a movement of a elephant or a herd of elephants, then this is picked up and an automatic alert is generated which goes both to forest department and also to railways. Along with this, we are also trying to deploy some kind of high resolution cameras as well as daylight cameras as well as thermal cameras, so that if there is a movement of animals or any animal, elephants or any other animal, so this can be picked up even during night, even during foggy days, it can be picked up and then an alert is generated. So this is all what we are working on.
Are you also constructing some underpasses under the railway track to allow the animals to pass through?
So what we have done is there is a study which has been given to Wildlife Institute of India to first of all see that what kind of mitigation measures can be undertaken. If there is an expansion of railway, then what kind of mitigation measures would be required to be undertaken, which includes, I would say, they are still studying it. It will take some time, but that will include all possibilities that how this can be done or if it needs to be done at all. So I think that study would be very interesting. We are hoping that the number of mortality of elephants and also other animals which have been brought down by this joint mechanism between Indian Railways and Forest Department, Uttarakhand Forest Department, if something more can be done, and if that mortality can be brought down even further, I think that would be a great achievement for us.
So, what is the extent of impact? Means, how much was the fatalities? How much has it come down?
So I would say that there used to be fatalities from 2002 onwards. I think there were more than 20 fatalities till 2010 or so, which means two elephants used to die per year. And that also included other than that, there were other animals also which used to die. But after this, the mortality has come down drastically. I would say last 10 years, there might not be more cases than 3 or 4 cases. So it has come down quite well. It is not yet zero, and there is potential that there might be an accident, and that's why we are using the latest technologies, because whenever humans are monitoring, there are likely chances of human error or fatigue, I would say. So that's why we are depending on more on technology so that this can be seamless.
Has been the public transport, railway lines and national highways passing through the reserve. It's one of the rare, means one of the few national parks which is intersected by roads and railways as well. So how are you combating that?
I think you have touched the most sensitive part of the entire conservation struggle which we are having. We know that the number of human population is increasing all across the globe and also in the country also. Especially in this area, there are three major cities like Dehradun, Rishikesh and Haridwar, which are on three sides of Rajaji. And the number of population, human population is obviously increasing. The transportation facilities are improving. Even in these areas, because these are mainly regional centers, so we do have flash crowd also mainly during Kumbh and Kamar, and also when the number of people coming here touches crores. And for these, obviously, we require linear infrastructure also. So the major challenge for Rajaji was that the roadways, which was the road which was connecting from Haridwar to Rishikesh and also from Haridwar to Dehradun, that in a way bisects Rajaji into two parts. And that was a very big challenge. That still is a very big challenge. And then there is a railway network also. Though it is only 18 kilometers, the railway network, but it covers or it crosses the crucial part of Rajaji. Now the issue which we are facing is because Rajaji is not a single protected area. It is part of a larger landscape which is known as Tarai Arc landscape. And we know that all the animals which are the large animals, especially say elephants, tigers, leopards, they are large range animals, which means they need a large area to roam around, to survive, to better use their habitat. But because of these linear infrastructures, the area was getting bisected into two parts. For that reason, the animals which are there in eastern Rajaji, which fortunately has a connectivity with other tiger reserves, the other tiger reserve of the country, which is Corbett, and henceforth, even ahead of that. So, number of animals in that part, eastern Rajaji, was very good. Especially tigers, if you say, there are 30 plus tigers in that area. But unfortunately, because of this heavy movement of traffic on these roads, which was a national highway, and also a movement of trains, the animals were not crossing towards the western Rajaji. And for that reason, the part from Rajaji, the western Rajaji, and also some part of, I would say, other areas of Uttarakhand, forest area, connected to till Yamuna. That area which used to have or which has a potential of having 80 tigers, okay, and there were only 3 tigers at one time, okay, and because there was no movement of tigers from one area to another area. So that was a major challenge which we were facing. In recent times, though it took a long time, it took decades, there was an idea which was conceptualized that we should have flyovers in these areas, in the crucial areas or in the corridors. So there are mainly three corridors which are there: Teen Pani corridor, then Lachiwala corridor, and also Chila Motichur corridor. So it was conceptualized that if we have flyovers in these areas, then the underpasses can be used by animals to move from one area to another area. It was a long struggle. There were several, I would say, studies which were done, thankfully from WII. Several organizations like WTI, WWF, they got together. Obviously, it had a very solid support from Government of India and Government of Uttarakhand. Since this highway was being managed by NHAI, NHAI also came into support. And now, I would say last year, we could successfully complete these flyovers. And the positive results of these are, I would say, for everyone to see. So we saw that first, the more, I would say, courageous animals like elephants and all, they started crossing. under these, using these underpasses from one area to another area. Leopards were next. More, I would say, fearful animals like herbivores, they also felt that this area is safe, this corridor is safe, so they started moving. And ultimately, the high point was that in October, when we recorded that a tiger has moved from Eastern Rajaji using this corridor to Western Rajaji. So that was a very happy situation for us.
Okay. Are these flyovers or elevated roads? What is the length of all these roads or flyovers, as you say?
These are, we can say, elevated roads, flyovers, whatever you can say. Few of them are very large. Few of them are up to 700 meters also. But the major part is, or the prime, I would say, success came because the underpasses which were under it, that was connecting two forest areas, the Eastern Rajaji and Western Rajaji, and they were fairly undisturbed, I would say. Because of only this road which was passing at the level, these animals could not move because there was a lot of traffic movement. So as soon as the traffic movement shifted to the elevated roads, this area, and we did stop any kind of traffic on the roads, earlier roads, and we dismantled few patches of road so that animal feel more safe, more natural to move in these directions. So after that, animal movement has started in this area.
Couldn't we have the entire stretch of roads passing through Rajaji National Park as elevated roads that would have provided wild animals a complete, say, passage from one corridor to the other corridor?
So it was also discussed and it was also studied very well that how to do this. But then it was realized that these are the three prime corridors which animals are using. And this came from after a very long study which was conducted. Because in other areas, there are patches where on one side there is human habitation. So obviously animals don't use these areas to cross from one side to another side. These were the areas and these were defined corridors, wildlife corridors, which have been there, which have been active since long. But because of this, they were not being used. So a scientific study was done. It was decided that finally these are the areas which have the potential that animals will be using them. These are the possible points where animals cross, because there are other kind of blockages in other area also. So finally it was decided, and we are happy that they are being used.
Thank you, Dr. Badola, for talking to Indian Masterminds, and we wish you all the best in your conservation efforts.